Introduce Allie in April from City of Topeka. Real important here is that we are partnering on this webinar series with the City of Topeka, and they've been great partners with us in some grants that they've done, federal grants that they've done, as well as working with us here at the Hub on our various programs and this webinar series as well. Today, we're going to do an overview of the Infrastructure Hub and the Build Kansas Fund. Then we'll jump into the presentation with April and Allie and talk about various webinar goals, what a grant is, talk a little bit about grant writing, resources, keys to success, and do some Q&A at the end as well. Next slide. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of the Infrastructure Hub. First off, again, my name is Matt Bowles, Director of the Hub. On the call, we also have Jason Gazelle and Jessica Pierce, who work here for the Hub as well in Topeka. And then we have several of our members of our technical assistance team on the call today as well. So Infrastructure Hub, what is it? Well, we are an organization. We are a state agency, state office, I will put it that way. We are housed here within the Capitol Complex in Topeka. We have multiple agencies that we report to. We have a multi-agency steering committee that we report to. We also report to a Kansas Legislative Advisory Committee. We have 8 different state agencies that we report to: Department of Ag, Department of Health and Environment, Department of Commerce, Kansas Corporation Commission, Kansas DOT, Division of Emergency Management, the Water Office, and the Office of Information Technology and Services.
Enjoy complimentary.
I have to mute one person on there, Jason. The other part about our office is that we're not only multi-agency, but we're also multi-infrastructure. We don't just focus on one type of infrastructure. We focus on transportation, water, broadband, cybersecurity, resilience, and energy. And that's our calling from our legislation that established our office as well as our Build Kansas Fund. So we do that in 2 different ways. We provide technical assistance. We match grant programs up with projects around the state. We match projects up with grant programs. We give advice on various grant programs that are out there. We do a lot of presentations around the state, do a lot of conferences, a lot of meetings. We give advice on how to develop applications. And then we also provide assistance. If you do win a federal award, we do give assistance with the grant administration portion of the work as well. The other thing we do is administer our Build Kansas Fund, and this is really the jewel of our office in the fact that we have $200 million that we have been given by the Kansas legislature and the governor to use as local grant matching funds. So with a typical federal grant, you might have what they call an 80-20, or 80% federal, 20% local. It's that 20% local match that is required of these federal grants where the Build Kansas Fund comes into play and allows us to essentially cover those matching dollars for you. And now the only requirement is that right now it does have to be a BIL funded program. And I know there's lots of things going on in Washington, D.C. right now, and we'll talk about that here in a future webinar, some of the impacts of the executive orders that have been coming out over the last few days. But the main point is that the Build Kansas Fund is here to really support you and support our rural communities, support our communities that are applying for federal grants. Same thing with the technical assistance. We're here to support you. Our process is relatively simple. Our technical assistance team is here to help. They will help you apply for the Build Kansas Fund, as well as, again, give you information on various grant programs that are out there. I think if you remember nothing from my presentation, it's just remember our website. And that's where all this information is. It's kshub.gov. We recently switched over to a new website this past month. and everything is on there. All the information is on there about the hub and about the Bill of Kansas Fund and what we do, and then how to actually ask us for technical assistance. You can email us. We have one email address to use. Make it really simple. It's just bil@ks.gov. Again, ask us for technical assistance, ask us questions, ask us how to apply, and we monitor that email address constantly, so we'll get an answer to you as quickly as we can. Next slide. Our speakers today from City of Topeka, I'm really super excited about this. These are two of our great partners in the grant writing world, and they are very successful. City of Topeka has been knocking it out of the park with federal grants this past year. The first speaker is April Hazen Schaefer. April is a senior grant administrator with the City of Topeka. She has 28 years of grant writing experience, grant management experience, leadership, and it has been an expert really in securing and managing very complex grants. The second speaker is Allie Weems, again with the City of Topeka. She's a senior management analyst with the City of Topeka. She is assisting the development, the facilitation of capital improvement plan at the City of Topeka. But more importantly, she acts as the department's lead grant writer. And again, the combination of April and Allie have really been doing a great job in getting a lot of federal grants into the City of Topeka. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to April and Allie.
Thanks, Matt. We appreciate you guys and your partnership and really everything that you've done for us. So we're glad that everybody joined us today, and I look forward to spending more time getting to know other grant writers across Kansas. Today, we're going to discuss grant fundamentals and upcoming opportunities. We want to be able to provide an open forum for questions and discussion so we can all learn from each other with the ultimate goal of getting more grants for your communities.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming today. I really appreciate all the support from the chat and getting to put some names to some faces out there. I'm going to start very basically with what is a grant. Simply put, it's an appropriate amount of money given for a specific purpose or outcome. Most of us are aware that grants often come from government agencies, but they can also be administered through philanthropic or for-profit organizations. Say you're looking to fund a road project for your city. There are grants available at various levels of government, from the U.S. Department of Transportation down to our state Department of Transportation. As Matt had alluded to earlier, it's common that grants require cities to provide a portion of the total project costs, referred to as a match or cost share. These amounts can range from 75-25, 80-20, or 90-10. Grant funds typically cannot be used retroactively for work that has been performed prior to award of these funding amounts. For example, if a consultant had assisted in developing a grant application that was selected to be awarded, an entity cannot pay the consultant once allocated these funds. Lastly, many grant programs outside of the BIL, such as the RAISE grant at the federal level or the cost share program at the state level, are annual or biannual in cadence. So once you've identified a grant opportunity, selected a project, and developed an application, be sure to hold on to those materials in the event that you're not selected, as many of those criteria for those programs will be very similar year over year, and you can, in essence, reuse those materials.
Grant writing is like being a storyteller, a dreamer, a detective, and an architect all rolled into one. To be a storyteller and a dreamer, we weave compelling narratives that bridge the gap between a funder's mission and what our community needs. We bring life to untold stories with every word. We have to paint vivid pictures of possibility and hope. You invite funders to imagine the transformation impact that their money could have, making them feel like an important part of the journey. To be a detective, you have to be an investigator at heart. We uncover opportunities others might miss or just overlook. Whether it's digging through data, unraveling community insights, or analyzing trends, You piece together the perfect evidence to tell a story. You leave no stone unturned, ensuring every proposal is rooted in facts and bolstered by insight that inspires confidence and trust. To be an architect, you take raw ideas, lofty dreams, and unformed concepts and transform them into something concrete and actionable. Like an architect designing a masterpiece, you build a framework of goals, objectives, and measurable outcomes. Each detail is thoughtfully designed to resonate with funders while ensuring the plan delivers meaningful and lasting benefits to your community. So we're not just grant writers, you're a dream maker, and we advocate for change. Our work combines creative artistry, strategic planning, and focused execution. A grant writer connects the dots between resources and needs, turning ideas into funded realities that transform lives and uplift communities. But above all, we bring humanity to the process. It's not just about securing the funding, it's about the partnerships you make, it's about telling stories that really matter, and it's about leaving a lasting impact.
Next slide. Okay, so there are essentially 5 components to the process of grant writing, which include the following: research, relationship building, strategic planning, compelling storytelling, and attention to detail. These are not linear per se, but constant considerations that should be weighed throughout the development of a proposal. For example, research is an ongoing practice that should ideally be taking place even when there's not an active opportunity you're currently working on. Because many BIL grants pertain to infrastructure, be aware of data that exists within your organization that may be later become relevant as opportunities are made available. Additionally, creating a network of collaborators and stakeholders is pivotal to setting yourself apart from other applicants. Therefore, relationship building can happen regardless of where you are in the application process. Get to know those in your area's metropolitan planning organization, community coalition groups, and state representatives. These individuals are indispensable in offering unique perspective when it comes to the value of your project. Creating a compelling story also allows for your application to stand out. Don't be afraid of leveraging narrative descriptions to define the problem your community is facing, such as through newspaper article citations or quotes from residents. These can be powerful additions to help reviewers better understand your community's context. And next slide, please. Thanks. So to recap, research includes not only finding the right opportunity for your project, but staying in the loop on relevant data and information you may be exposed to in your role. Building strong relationships within your organization and community establishes trust and rapport to tell your community's story. Strategically planning what you hope to achieve with funding, and as well as anticipating future opportunities that are more routine in cadence. And then creating a narrative that sticks with the reviewer, who is often someone who may be unable to point to your community on a map. This is your opportunity to offer a first impression and make it a memorable one. Lastly, notices of funding opportunities, or NOFOs, will outline the exact specification of how an applicant should organize their application submittals. Be sure to follow these details closely, as they may be described as suggestions, but it should be interpreted as requirements.
Grants are vital in supporting organizations by funding projects, programs, and operational needs that align with our missions and address very specific community priorities. They are often used to implement well-defined projects, such as a neighborhood revitalization initiative that includes infrastructure upgrades and community engagement efforts. Additionally, grants enable organizations to develop or expand new programs, like launching an after-school tutoring program. However, it is very crucial to avoid supplanting, which occurs when grant funds replace existing resources, such as using them to cover salaries that are already funded by local taxes. Many grants prohibit this practice, as their purpose is to supplement existing resources rather than substitute for them. Organizations also use grants to build capacity by improving infrastructure, such as upgrading technology or hiring additional staff to enhance efficiency and service delivery. Operating support grants provide essential funding for daily expenses, ensuring stability in delivering services. For instance, a theater company might use a grant to cover salaries, utilities, and maintenance. Finally, grants drive community impact by addressing critical needs and fostering a positive change, such as funding a community garden that provides fresh produce and strengthens local connections. These varied uses demonstrate how grants empower organizations to serve their communities better and to achieve meaningful outcomes. One of the most challenging aspects of grant writing is navigating through the multitude of grant websites. Two resources I rely on most are often the Kansas Infrastructure Hub and grants.gov. Both sites are packed with valuable tools and resources, including powerful search functions that allow you to filter grants by specific keywords. Many grant websites also give you the option to subscribe, and then you are able to receive updates on opportunities that align with your interests. Another excellent resource for finding and learning about grants is at your local library. Libraries often host grant-related webinars and boot camps. However, none of those are going to be as awesome as ours is, but they can help you sharpen your skills and expand your knowledge. In all seriousness, attend as many as possible because you will learn something from all of them. One of the goals of our peer-to-peer discussions is to provide a platform for discovering new resources and sharing insights. However, nothing quite matches the value of face-to-face assistance or having a sounding board to bounce ideas off of. We want this group to be precisely that. Jason from the Kansas Infrastructure Hub is going to give you a quick tour of their website and showcasing its features and letting you know how it can support you in your grant writing journey.
Well, thank you, April. Just real quick, wanted to show a few features of our new website that Matt mentioned. One is to be sure in the top right-hand corner to sign up for our newsletter. That way you'll get notified of future grant webinars, peer-to-peer webinars that we will be offering. Secondly, wanted to note a save the date for our 2025 Infrastructure Summit. It will be held April 23rd in Lindsborg. I'll have another slide next that lists that as well. And I should say I did just put a link in the chat to the PDF of today's slides, and all the links in that PDF are live, so you can click through and find out more information. Thirdly, wanted to just show on our website, bottom left-hand corner, we have a highlight of upcoming events that are happening. Again, on the next slide, I'll show you a few of those and give a link specifically to sign up for more of these K-State Research and Extension grant writing workshops. But did just real quick want to show our bipartisan infrastructure law open grant opportunities. So just using the navigation at the top of our site, go to BIL and then open grant opportunities. This is an embedded widget, just takes a second to load. But as you scroll down, it's a little small and hard to read. One pro tip is just to use this open and full screen mode to open it up in a larger readable format. Just two things to point out here. Currently, there are 46 open programs. If you click on due date, it'll sort them by due date. Some of them don't have one. You'll see the next one is actually tomorrow. But there are more in the coming months. And then also just to show, you can also filter by eligible entities. So say you're a local government, just by clicking that button, you can filter down to those opportunities that are available to you. So that's a great resource to have as well. And then finally, just wanted to show on the Build Kansas Fund, we have available public dashboards. I won't get into those today, but our award list, which is a nice kind of 8-page succinct. Again, you can, well, this displays it all at once. You can scroll through here and see those that have been awarded a federal grant. And this just gives you an idea of what programs and projects have been successful in Kansas. And then finally, just real quick, wanted to show you can, from our technical assistance tab at the top, can view our both of our staff list as well as our technical assistance team that are assigned to the various regions around the state. And with that, I will turn it back over to Allie. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Allie, I did want to highlight real quickly. And again, in the PDF of the slideshow that's included in the chat, you can click this link and go to actually register for these upcoming grant seminars that are presented by K-State Research and Extension. There's also an upcoming Rural Health and Prosperity Grants 101 workshop taking place in Emporia in early April, and then our 2025 Kansas Infrastructure Summit that I mentioned earlier. And with that, I will hand it back over to Allie.
Thank you, Jason. And as Jason had mentioned, this is some features of the Hub's website. And since we already kind of discussed all the inner workings of it, I can move on to the next slide. All right, so here's an overview of what you can expect when a grant proposal is initially reviewed to when it is selected for award. Reviewers will vet submissions for completedness and eligibility prior to weighing project merit. They will also consider factors such as an organization's commitment to satisfying cost-sharing requirements and project delivery. Often, the review process may take several rounds to narrow down finalists, and during this time, you can anticipate representatives from the grantor agency reaching out with any questions or clarifications they may have regarding your application. You may also be asked to amend sections of your proposal in the later stages of this process. While not a given, this may indicate that your project has made it to the final round of the selection process. If your project is not selected, you may request the scoring assessed by the review committees to gauge how you may develop a stronger application in future opportunities. Entities like the US DOT often offer debrief sessions as well to further discuss rationale if requested by the applicant. Slide, please. In summary, there are a number of strategies to help put your best foot forward prior to the announcement of a new grant. You need not wait until the opportunity becomes available to begin polishing up the essentials of what makes a great grant proposal. Be sure to check out organizational and community strategic plans to understand what gaps and barriers exist in your area. Always seek to build the project concept first and the grant application later. While this can require a lot of preparation in advance, it makes for a smoother process when it's time to apply. Become familiar with data resources in and around your organization. This includes state resources like KDOT, who have just released the Vulnerable Road User Assessment that helps communities better assess road network risks. And always make stakeholder engagement a priority and as early as possible. These proposals should not occur in a vacuum, especially since the result of an awarded project will impact more than just the organization submitting the application. Demonstrating support also shows the grantor agency how aligned the community is in endorsing your project.
So we're going to talk about big grants and little grants. Every city or community has its own story. Understanding each place's specific challenges, resources, and opportunities is critical to crafting a compelling grant application. What works for one city may not even work for another, even with the same funding amount. This concept highlights the importance of tailoring grant requests to a community's unique needs and opportunities rather than focusing solely on the dollar amount. A grant's value isn't just the dollar figure, it is the impact that that grant can create. A smaller grant can make a significant difference in smaller communities, just as a larger grant may be essential for widespread initiatives in a large community. In a small town, $50,000 can have an outsized impact. It might fund new equipment for first responders, establish much needed community service, or kickstart an initiative that stimulates local economic growth. Understanding your community's demographics,
Oh my
needs,
God. Did you just come out of there? How deep is that office? Oh.
asking for more than you can manage or less than you need undermines your credibility. A well-calibrated request shows thoughtful planning and a clear vision for implementation. The last thing you want to do is have money left over at the end of the grant period and have to send it back. Let's see, send it back to the grantor or tell them why you did not complete all the tasks you said you would. It's important, if not the most important, to be honest with yourself and your community and businesses to discuss your capacity to fulfill the grant requirements in the time given. In Topeka, we have to consider whether we have the right staff, if we need to contract the work, whether we have the equipment and supplies or need to write their purchase into the grant, and whether we have community partnerships in place to fulfill grant requirements. We have covered many topics today in our short time together, and I know it can be overwhelming. You have all of our contact information, so please don't ever hesitate to get a hold of any of us. We want to open the rest of the time up for any questions or comments that you might have. I think we also, yeah, Jason's putting some questions in the chat. Please feel free to speak up and let us know, you know, what you're thinking, what you are needing, what, you know, what any of us can do for you, what information we can discuss.
Hey, April and Ellie, I'll maybe kick off with just a little bit of information. I know this question's been on a lot of people's minds this week with all the executive orders that are coming out of Washington, D.C. right now. They've come out pretty fast and furious, and we've been trying to keep up with them here in our office and read through them and see what impacts they have on the state of Kansas, as well as infrastructure funding here in the United States, as well as here in Kansas. Just so you know, there have been a couple of these executive orders that were signed on Monday that some of you may have heard about. One was the 78 executive orders that were rescinded in the signature or in a signing ceremony that the president held. Two of those have impacts to infrastructure. One was a rescission of the implementation of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, or the BILs, it's also known as, and then the other was the implementation of the IRA, which was another funding program for infrastructure projects. So that those orders didn't necessarily rescind the funding; they rescinded essentially the implementation of those programs. And then we got clarification. Well, there was another executive order called the Unleashing American Energy Executive Order, which had a line in it about pausing disbursement of IIJA or BIL funds and IRA funds, including electric vehicle funds and charging and fueling infrastructure funds. On that one there, that caused us a lot of concern because, you know, it obviously has a big impact on federal grants here in Kansas. But we got clarification on that one yesterday that the pause is only applicable to charging and fueling infrastructure and NEVI, or National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure programs. So I guess the word of the day is you know, don't panic. You know, there's lots of things that are coming out of DC right now, and it's to be seen where everything will land at the end of the day. But you know, we're going to maintain and keep on going until we hear otherwise all these various programs. We haven't heard about any that have been specifically paused, changed, or moved around in any way, shape, or form. But we'll try to keep everybody informed through our newsletter and on our website as well about any changes that will impact infrastructure funding.
Hey, Allie, somebody had a question in the chat, where to find the KDOT vulnerable road safety assessment.
Yeah, let me go grab a link to that real quick and I can drop that in the chat. Oh, I guess somebody already did. I apologize. Jason found that.
Oh, great, great. Okay.
Lisa has a question. Has her hand raised?
Yeah, I have been trying to put information into the chat, and I don't know if I'm outside. I think it said something about being outside of the entry to this. I'm not sure. I just needed Jason's information, and I think I've been on a seminar, 1 or 2 seminars with April Schaefer, and I got her information. That was the main thing I was concerned about. And then Jason had also mentioned something about being able to get the links and the information out, because it says after this meeting is over, the information that he was sharing was not going to be available. Can that be emailed to me at all? If some of that information that he had shared, along with what Aaliyah, you and April had shared with us. I appreciate that. Do we get that in the email format or no?
Yeah, Lisa, this is Jason. I put my contact information in the chat. And if you can't see that, let me know and I'll get your email and follow up. But I guess we do have it from the registration, and we will be following up with a link to the recording as well as the presentation hosted online. I do apologize for any technical difficulties. This is our first time hosting this and using Teams webinar and just kind of learning the ropes here. So sorry that first link didn't work, but I did attach the presentation if folks can. It sounds like some folks can access that.
Yeah, thank you. I just realized that my camera was off. I'm sorry. I'm fine. I'm trying to discover where I'm at here, but I appreciate all this information. I was really excited to see it pop up in my email, and signed on immediately. So first times are always good times. As they say, usually.
Well, we're
Thanks for
glad
the
you did,
favor.
Lisa.
Thank you. I did kind of piggybacking on that, just looking at the chat at some questions. Andy asked about the importance of having a peer network in other cities or similar entities as it relates to grant writing. I think that's kind of this experiment in essence, is to have that kind of opportunity for us all to be able to engage with one another. And as we mentioned, some of this is learning, but a lot of it's just learning from each other and understanding how we can develop those economies of scale intellectually or out in the world in a region sense. But really, that's kind of the purpose of this whole thing, is to really engage with other people, because we're really not our own competition. There's not really a way that we steal from each other in essence. We're all able to be collaborators in that sense.
And somebody asked what our work day looks like. And I can tell you kind of what I wake up and try to do every day. However, we're always getting something new information comes out, constantly. But so when I first start my day, I go to the hub and look at any grants that came out. The night before. Usually there's, well, who knows? Sometimes there's like 7, sometimes there's 14 that come. So I look and try and figure out if any of those would work well for us, or that we even want to discuss. One of the really neat things that we've set up in Topeka is a grant team. So we have members from all of our different groups that meet twice a month and discuss grants and discuss how we can make sure that we're not looking at a grant like SS4A that we got that was only for public works or only for the police department. So we spend that time, together trying to make sure that we look at it through the whole agency, through the whole city. And then that way we're doing one good solid grant, that we can turn in, and it's not a lot of, broken up grants or grants that don't cover everything. Um, Allie and I spend a lot of the time talking back and forth. We have Jen, who is at our water department, and she does the same thing. We all kind of talk back and forth about, what the city needs. I also do a lot of conversations with the department directors and try and have one-on-ones with them as much as possible because, I can find great grants to do all kinds of stuff. But if it's not something that they need, or something that they have that capacity to do, then I'm just wasting everybody's time. So, I try to make sure that what we're finding is relevant and worthwhile. So I spend a lot of time doing those conversations, and then we spend a lot of time doing, connecting with different peers and different organizations in Topeka that we can see what they're doing. Are they writing a grant that we could say, oh hey, this other not-for-profit's writing this grant too, maybe you guys can talk and help each other out, or put in one big grant that might help the both of you. So it just depends. There's some nights where a grant's due at midnight, and we're on the phone with each other until 11:59 making our final edits. And then there's other times where we're able to just sit back and just discuss and research and look through any of the grants. I think one thing too that we talked about, that we probably should have mentioned too, is we do have a lot of BIL grants that are out right now. But make sure that you're looking for your Kansas Department of Education grants, your Department of Commerce grants. So next time that we meet, we will have a list of all of the Kansas groups that have grants available. And a lot of times those are really good too for smaller cities that don't necessarily have a capacity to do a $25 million grant. So those are kind of the things that I do. I hope that answered your question. So it's a lot of different things, and we wear a lot of different hats every single day.
I would like to piggyback off that too with Andrea's question. I would like to know from others if there are grant administrators within your organization. Specifically for ours, we're very lucky that we do have that. As for myself, I will say in day in my life, I am not a grant specialist. That was an adopted role. I'm a management analyst, and for a lot of folks, that means everything. In just kind of choose your own adventure sense. So grants kind of got brought to me in terms of the BIL coming out, and just the need was there. So we responded to that need with kind of making that my thing. And so a lot of what I do does have to do with grant writing, but it's also helping with budget and CIP and just the various odds and ends that pertain to our operations as a public works department. But very interested with everyone else too, if you have a devoted staff person to grants, or is it very similar to that sense where you're kind of reacting to this availability of funds? And then Lisa, did you have another question?
Yes, I do. And I apologize again. I tried to get back into the chat again so that you could read from the chat, but it's unable to. But my question is, it kind of segues into what you were talking about. You're not an expert. I'm not either. And anyone on my team is not either, but we're also looking for any kind of grant classes, how to write a grant, how to go through that scenario. I appreciate the locations that you had gave in regard to your own and grant.gov. But And all of it has been very enlightening to me because I've been on the search for a while. So, but do you guys have individual classes at all that anyone from my team or membership can come to and take a look at those and listen to those classes? And that was one question, and the other one's real simple. What is the acronym BIL?
Yes.
I got on the, I kind of got on the meeting late a little bit, but sorry about that. But this is also fascinating to me. I love it, and I really appreciate this opportunity. It's fantastic.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. And I can absolutely let the hub cover any class offerings that they have. And I can at least tackle the BIL one. That's bipartisan infrastructure law, or they used to refer to it as the IIJA, which is the Infrastructure Investments and Jobs Act. And then I'm going to defer to the hub on any offerings they have for classes.
Yeah, were you guys available? There was a seminar. I'm going to interject myself again without raising my hand. There was a seminar, I think, last year in April in Salina, Kansas. Were you guys there at that seminar? It was like the latter part of April, I think. Like, I can't remember. It's like the April the 24th, actually, I think it was.
Yeah, Lisa, that was the Infrastructure Summit, and that was hosted by the Infrastructure Hub office. And we are having another one on April
Okay.
23rd in Lindsborg, Kansas.
Okay, I seen that. Okay, I wrote that down. Okay, very good.
Hey, Matt, it's Jessica. Do you want to mention Nancy and her classes?
Yeah, Jason hit on it when he was looking
Oh,
at the
okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Jason.
kshub.gov website, and on the bottom of that website, there's a list of events, and those K-State classes are listed in there. And I thought I'd seen a link. Well, I know there's a link in the slides, but you can also go to our website and look at the events. And you'll see those K-State grant seminar classes, which are taught by the Kansas State University Research and Extension Office. Nancy Daniels from the KSU Research and Extension Office teaches those classes. We at the Hub participate in those and provide input. And the next ones are coming up in Kansas City, Topeka, and then McPherson, I believe.
And Allie and I'll be at the Topeka one. I'm sorry, Allie and I'll be at the Topeka one too, to help and funnel any questions.
Yeah, February 4th in Kansas City, Kansas, February 18th in Topeka, and then February 26th or 27th in McPherson.
And I did put a link in the chat to the sign up page for all of those K-State research and extension workshops.
Yeah, was the McPherson one the 26th or 27th?
27th.
Okay.
Matt, somebody also asked, are any team members able to come to communities to visit in person about grants and opportunities?
Yeah, and I answered it. I didn't know if that answer went off to everybody or not in the chat, but no, it did.
Yes.
Allie? Okay, all right. So yeah, but I mean the answer, of course, is yes, absolutely, we're available. That's what we do. Majority of our time is go out and do presentations, meetings, conferences, one-on-one meetings. We do phone calls. We do Teams calls, emails, of course. Anything you need, and then of course we have our very large technical assistance team, which covers the entire state of Kansas from west to east, that are available to answer questions. We're here to help. I mean, any questions you've got about grants or writing applications or grant programs, or just about your project and whether it's grant ready. That's probably the biggest question that we get, and just trying to find a potential grant program that could fit your project. And I can't remember if it was April or Allie mentioned it, but not only do we have federal grants, but the state has a lot of grant programs between the Department of Commerce, Department of Transportation, the Water Office, and we also try to connect folks with those grant programs as well.
And I don't know, Jason, if we had a poll to kind of gauge people's, I know we're coming from a very broad range, I'm assuming, of exposure to grants. I myself have not been in the grant space for about a year now, so I understand that this can either feel like drinking from a water hose, or you're already like, I know all this stuff, this is not news to me. But in any case, if there's any questions that you might not feel comfortable attaching your name to, or you're thinking like, oh, this is a stupid question, there's no such thing, but please do not hesitate to reach out. If you want to send an email or anything like that, we're happy to connect. I know I've asked April my fair share and then some of dumb questions that she's probably like, I've seen this a million times, but truly there's no such thing. This is all new to a lot of people. So we're just really trying to be able to capitalize on this historic funding opportunity, both at the federal level and as alluded to the state and local level too.
And Allie, I apologize. I set it up and tested it multiple times, but the poll questions have disappeared. And so we'll have to save that for our next session.
All good.
Yeah.
No worries.
Hey, there is a question in the chat. And it came from Brandy Sutherland, who's a partner of ours, friend of ours. She's a grant writer. I think it's kind of a setup question, Brandy, but it says, how can communities with about 100 to 1,000 people prepare better to apply for grants for the needs they have? Again, you've heard all the discussion about, email us, call us, talk to other grant writers, talk to folks like Allie and April that have done this before. But I will say that the best way to learn how to write grants is to write grants. And even if you don't succeed on the first try, you're going to learn something from it. And I mean, that's how I got into grant writing several years ago. I just sort of fell into it, and sort of like Allie's and April's story, I'm sure. Somebody looks around and says, okay, well, you help write this grant, and then you start doing it, and you find out you enjoy it. And it's really great when you can win grant money for your clients and for your cities here in Kansas. So yeah, I mean, get out there, write some grants, give it a try. But as you're going through that process, reach out, ask for help, ask questions, and you'll find there are a lot of people that are willing to give you information and help along the way.
And I think too, getting that feedback from other, from other people, from other, from your peers. A grant that we wrote in Topeka, we had somebody out in California that had already received the grant, and he was willing to look over our grant for us and say, hey, I don't know where you live, but this makes no sense. Or, for us in Topeka, we have Topeka, and then we have Shawnee County. And, he brought light that Shawnee County had already gotten the grant, and that we needed to explain better why, the city of Topeka was different, and why we should qualify for funding. So, always ask other people to read it, somebody that's not close to you, or somebody that is. And, and that'll help a lot too, just to get that third party feedback. Does anybody have any other questions or any specific grant that you've been watching or that you see? We still have a few minutes left.
We can certainly wait to for the 5th that Jason just dropped the link in the chat. That'll really serve as a sounding board for any questions that if we walk away from this conversation and you think, oh darn, I should have asked about that, but didn't think about it until far later in the day. This is a perfect opportunity for us to circle back on anything we talked about today too.
And I am just putting that up on the screen so folks can take note of it. I put the registration link in the chat. There's also this link that'll be in the PDF of the presentation that you can click through the register. And then the plan is for future months to hold these in the first Wednesdays at noon.
I don't want to be the only one raising their hand, but it looks like I'm the only one raising because I can't get to the chat again. I do have a real quick question. It was for Jason, if that's okay. I'm interjecting myself again, so sorry. I'm just so excited about this. Jason had mentioned something about the newsletter. So that newsletter, Jason, does that cover a lot of the information that has been discussed in this webinar today? I mean, or the
Sure.
dates and times and things like that. And so does that just come automatically to anyone that signs up for it? Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. And it comes out once a month towards the end of the month. And you can get to it at kshub.gov. In the top right-hand corner is the newsletter sign up. And then that lists the upcoming events and trainings, not just ours, but, K-Straight Research and Extension and the others we've mentioned, as well as new grant opportunities that have come out, as well as recent awards that have been made in the state.
Okay, thank you. Fantastic. Thanks.
So Andy wants to know, will this series cover later parts of finalizing federal grant documents for implementation, like what City of Topeka and others encounter when they initialize their grant spending with the related and responsible federal entity? And I'd say, yeah, I mean, we can talk about anything, Andy, and if that's something that you want to talk about, then we'll put it down on our list of things that need discussed and things that need researched. So we will take that too. Any suggestions? Yeah, and yeah, Andy said it's a source of concern for other communities too. But yeah, anybody has any things that they want to talk more about, or any suggestions of what you want to talk about or hear about or learn about, shoot one of us an email, or feel free to go ahead and put it in the chat now. And that way we'll know, what how we can make this hour that once a month that we spend with everybody, worthwhile.
Brandy.
Hi, I just wanted to ask one thing about supporting communities that don't have grant administrators. I think somebody else asked about that too. How does Bill support them, like for the grant writing, the grant administration, getting their agreement, once they've been awarded, getting their agreement implemented and executed, and then all of the reporting and that kind of stuff? Are there tools for those communities?
So I don't want to jump in too far ahead, but I think some of that can be handled within the writing of the proposal. Like if you anticipate that you'll have capacity concerns as an organization, that can be written into the initial proposal with the grant and saying, we'll need to administer or implement through a third party to contract that out for reporting. And of course, Matt, Jason, if you guys have any examples of that, but that would, at least, I guess you'd have to be kind of ahead of the process, and that would be the way that I think we would handle something like that.
Yeah, I think that part was taken care of in the grants that I've helped with, but what they can't do is complete the grant agreement because they don't have the capacity to complete that, and they can't use the grant award money because the grant hasn't been executed yet. So they're kind of in this limbo where they like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to put in that box. And I'm not supposed to help them put that in the box because I'm the engineer who wants to work on that project. So I can't be involved in it At least that's the understanding I have at this time. We're trying to get some clarity, but I have 2 communities that won the Safe Streets for All grants that they have their grant template, but they don't know what to put in there. And they're kind of just in the holding pattern to hear back from the point of contact that says, yeah, go ahead and hire her to help you complete those specific pieces, but I'm not wanting to write the grant agreement for them. I just need to supply them with those key points, the scope, the schedule, the cost, and the technical pieces that they don't know the ins and outs of that I do, without disqualifying myself for being able to bid on the project when they go to bid.
Yeah, and Brandy, I know we're running out of time, but I'll just tell you right now. So this has come up in the past, and the infrastructure hub, we do provide technical assistance for post grant award help to a certain extent to get our smaller communities through that grant agreement process, which can be daunting, and we know that. Related specifically to SS4A, we actually recognize here in the state of Kansas, we're very fortunate. We have been awarded 49 SS4A grants. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to use an acronym. Safe Streets and Roads for All grants. What these are safety planning grants for smaller communities here in Kansas. And recognizing we've got a lot of those here in Kansas, we've actually offered up our assistance to the Federal Highway Administration Office here in Kansas to provide assistance to those communities, help them with that paperwork just to get this process going, to get these agreements going faster. So if you're having any troubles like that, Brandy, let us know. And we've got some folks that are specifically working on those SS4A grant agreements. But in general, again, we've got a large technical assistance staff that are very familiar with these processes and these grant agreement processes. Again, reach out, bil@ks.gov, and use our website, kshub.gov, or kshub, bil at, make sure I got this right, guys, bil@ks.gov, and then kshub is our website. kshub.gov is our website. So reach out to us. We'll provide as much assistance as we can. And again, related to those SS4As, Brandy, we'll help you out there.
Thanks, guys.
And then Deb, maybe we can get your question real quick too.
Yes, actually, wasn't a question. I was going to put in a shameless plug for regional planning commissions across the state that perform some of the duties that individuals, particularly in smaller towns, may find helpful in terms of grant application preparation, and then also administrative duties and helping to implement on the backside once they're awarded as well. So just like I said, shameless plug for the regional planning commission that might be in your area.
Thank you. All the information we can give out and share is the better.
Well, great. With that, we are at 1 o'clock. I have a final slide here just to say thank you all for attending. Most especially want to thank April and Allie for coming to us with this idea of having this webinar series and for hosting this first one and doing such a great job with it. Yeah, there is a clapping feature that you can add to the screen. So thank you all for coming today. I don't know if anyone else has any other parting words.
No, we just hope to see you at the next one.
Just appreciate
thanks, everyone.
the time. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks. That was excellent. I enjoyed it, April.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, I think I seen you on another seminar, something else I was in search of. But anyway, we'll talk. I got your information. I have questions.
Yeah.
I hope you like them.
Yes. No, we will
Thank
be
you
happy to help.
Yes, I'm so excited for you and Allie to be there. Because women understand detailed questions.
Yes, and we're here for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's this girl called Damn Jam. Is that what that is?
Yeah,
thought that
it's
was
a
cute.
music festival. My husband and I have been to it before, but yeah, so we're
Where is
glad
it
to have.
Where is it located? I never. Oh, she went off. I think she went off. Okay. Where is that music festival located? I don't know. I think we're off. I think they're getting ready to close us down.
Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
I'm CJ Wilson, and I'm the owner of the Damn Jam. We are a 2-day music festival that has had a lot of fun with our venue location, and we have just did a long-term contract with Winfield Fairgrounds in Winfield, Kansas, and we'll have 23 artists and 2 days of camping.
Oh, sounds like fun.
It is a lot of fun. So hopefully everybody can come because our goal is to raise the economy in the state of Kansas and in our region.
Okay. Do you guys travel?
No, we just have one event a year that we hold there, and we help with nonprofits use our platform to raise money. And then we just kind of do it to be a part of the community. We're a group of business owners in the state of Kansas that wanted to help the economy, because it's kind of everything that everybody talks about is how do we get more tourism dollars in the state. So that is kind of what we've been working on. And last year we had over 17 different states come to Kansas to enjoy the Damn Jam. So magic is happening and we're quite proud.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Oh, it
And we
sounds
are
fun.
women owned. So I totally get the details.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Details are so important. There's
Yes,
another book. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you have these things and you see the word festival, I mean, contact, right? CJ?
yeah, you are right.
Yes, I kind of like that. There's another one. There's another person on here that says land development. I like that terminology too. So, but this is like I said, this is my first seminar with the State Cape program that I was doing webinar online. So this has been very informative for me. I work remote, so so any kind of information works great for me. But
Oh, awesome.
I do have another meeting, and this meeting was interesting. I enjoyed every bit of it. Land development. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Okay, so see you guys later. I'm signing out.
Thanks, Lisa.